Every once in a while, you may look at something in your photograph and say, you know what, that's the wrong color. Or maybe for a creative reason, you want to change the color of an object to something else. Could be a shirt, a dress, or what have you. Today, we're going to take a look at the color tool and how we can selectively choose one color and turn it into something else. Hi, my name is William Beem. I'm a photographer in Central Florida. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if you're coming back from previous videos, welcome. I really appreciate that. I like to show videos on Luminar AI and some other photography topics. And today we're going to take a look at how to change the color. In this case, it's going to be an orange. And we just want to take a look at kind of the part of the center of the orange and how we can change that out. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at our photograph. And just like I said, that looks like an orange. I'm from Florida, so I know what oranges look like. And this is a very simple idea. I want to see if we can take the meaty part of the orange and just change it to something that is not orange. And to do that, we're going to go over here to the color tool and we're going to create a mask. I'm going to use the paint mask because it gives me the option to change the radius, the softness, and opacity pretty easily. And I'm going to bring the softness down. I kind of want a harder edge brush. And the trick is I'm going to paint along kind of the inside portion. And you may have to go back and refine your mask. That's not a big deal. And in order to help me determine what we're looking at, I'm just going to go ahead and make a little change to, let's say, the orange saturation. And I want that to really show up where I'm painting. So I'm going to just really kick up the saturation. And that's not where we're going to stay. It just kind of helps me see where am I painting. I kind of want to avoid the rind that's going around the perimeter of the orange. And I also want to avoid the center part. So that's kind of why I'm going very slowly here. And because we can't make selections inside of Luminar, you kind of have to do a little fine detail. This is actually pretty sloppy on my part, but the idea is to show you how we can manipulate the color rather than go into a masking tutorial. Once I've got the outside edge, it's pretty easy to go along and choose what I need in the center. And then I'm not worried about being so delicate around here with the core of the orange. I just kind of want to get most of the meaty part of it. And if I have to change the size of my brush a little bit, make it a little bit smaller to kind of get in some of these little spots, that's not a big deal. And I think for our purpose, that's good enough. If we see something that's not quite what we want, that's okay. We can change it. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring the saturation back down and I'm going to bring the orange saturation down. So what I want to do is change the color of this orange. I'm going to start off down here with the Hue Shift. And as we move this around, you can see that it's changing the color. Now it's not perfect because depending upon the color, you can see here we see a lot of the texture and here we don't. We can go ahead and change that to make this something else. So I think what I want to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to select kind of a purple, bluish purple kind of tone. And let's pick that. What you do next is going to work with your hue, saturation, and light. So I think what I want to do is I'm not really changing the hue. For example, remember, if I'm going to change the hue, I'm not going to select purple because what it's really changing is what you have in the original photograph. So I'm going to have to change the orange to kind of change the hue a little bit to see what I want to get. So as I bring this down, I'm getting a lot more saturation. I'm getting a lot more detail for the purple color that I want. I can also go, let's skip past the saturation and let's go down to luminance. And I can do the same thing here. I can bring the luminance down to make this darker. I can pump it up to make it brighter. I kind of want to have a little bit of a darker tone right there. So I brought the luminance down from the orange slider. Again, we're using orange because that's the color of the fruit inside. And now we can go into saturation and we can kind of play with those colors to see what do we want. Do we want something kind of dim or do we want something a bit brighter and more luxurious? And that is pretty much how we can go in and change the color of something. In this case, we had something textured. If we did something else with maybe a fabric, like I said, a shirt or a dress, then you might have a little bit of a different look. But the overall style is going to be going through masking out the part or the subject that you want to change. Make sure you're paying attention to the color of what you're changing. And then you come down here to the HSL And the first thing you're going to do is change the hue shift. So that way, because you've made a mask, you can see what the color changes are. And then you choose the color you want. Next, you come over to HSL, and one by one, you go through hue, saturation, and luminance to tweak that color change to just the way that you want it to be. So why do you want to go ahead and change the color of an object in the first place? There could be a number of reasons. It could be artistic or creative. Also, it could be that you're doing some color harmony and some color theory, and maybe you need things to work on a specific color palette. So perhaps you've got a palette that you need to work to, and this is one way that you can get something to shift and nudge those colors a little bit. You can also find some really great color tools in the professional tab under color harmony, and you can shift things around based upon highlights, midtones, and shadows, but it doesn't quite get you this effect. If you want to just replace a color overall, you're going to need to go to the color tab on essentials, and I think it works very nice. You can come up with some very creative ideas and see what happens and see what you like and see what you don't like. So as always, go ahead, experiment, and maybe this will give you something more creative that you can use inside of your own photographs. If you found this useful or interesting, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know what you're going to use this on. Give me some ideas of how you might want to shift some colors around inside of your own photographs. If you like this video, thanks very much. Please go ahead, click the like button. That lets YouTube know if I'm doing something right or not, and it'll share it with other people. Go ahead, subscribe, please, and click the bell icon. That'll notify you the next time I put a video out. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next video.